It feels as if the more we know, the less we truly understand, and that sentiment becomes far more prevalent when peering through the countless records and witness statements all across the world that point towards impossible to explain mysteries. Although we have managed to explain many mysteries, there are still some that are being researched even in the modern day. So today we'll be taking a look at 5 mysteries that are still waiting to be solved. The Hairy Hands of Dartmoor. Found in Dartmoor in the English county of Devon, there resides a strip of road that's become so notorious for its number of annual traffic accidents that a large portion of the local residents claim it to be at the centre of an impossible to explain supernatural phenomenon. This phenomenon has become known as the Hairy Hands of Dartmoor. The strip of road featuring these accidents rests along the road between Post Bridge and 2 bridges, with many of the victims claiming that it was not until they entered onto this road that a strange and impossible to explain event would take place. The victims often reported that seemingly out of nowhere, it would feel as if the steering wheel was being pulled in a specific direction, as if someone or something grabbed onto the steering wheel and attempted to throw them off the road. Despite these numerous reports from the victims, it wasn't until the first reports began surfacing surrounding that of the victims, claiming to have seen ghostly severed hands grabbing onto their steering wheel before crashing and passing out, that the locals began to connect the dots of the paranormal aspect of this occurrence. This soon led to many claiming the accidents were the result of some ghostly figure or a pair of hands attempting to drive people off the road, a theory that would later be tested to a certain level of success. Journalist and author Rufus Endell said the following: "A pair of hands grabbed the steering wheel and I had to fight for control. Shortly after driving away from the road, the hands disappeared as quickly as they first appeared, leaving Mr. Endell with the feeling that the road itself was the haunted location of the hairy hands." Even to this day, reports are still coming out of this area, with some saying the hairy hands are still trying to scare people off the road. Phantom Barber Mystery in Mississippi. The effects that World War II had on the American economy was one of the driving factors for a growth in population, standard of living and economic status all around the nation. This growth was due to the American government funding the industrial expansion of the country, in order to mass produce enough vehicles, weapons and goods to be used on the front line of the war. For the small town of Pascagoula located in the state of Mississippi, this economic expansion would lead to the small town exploding into an industrial city, and this happened in only a few short years, leading to growing pains that no one could have possibly foreseen. Due to the explosion of population within the small town, from a few hundred to several tens of thousands, there was not enough police officers staffed to help solve the majority of reported crimes, leaving many reports to be left completely ignored for weeks, before officers would begin to take a look at the situation. One such report that had been ignored was that of the Phantom Barber, a strange individual of whom was sneaking into people's houses late at night and cutting off locks of women's hair for their personal collection. Although the perpetrator did commit violent acts such as that of breaking and entering, the individual never escalated their crime in any manner outside of collecting locks of hair for their personal enjoyment. Despite the lack of violence, the uneasiness of the town continued to grow, mostly due to the overall paranoia propaganda the US government was pushing. This growing paranoia would eventually lead many to believe the Phantom Barber was some kind of soldier, and someone who was not on their side, forcing the police to spend as much resources in catching the assailant within the next few weeks. Unfortunately, despite a number of tactics involving dogs, search parties and citizens, the perpetrator was never caught while in the act. Though a man was arrested and sentenced to 10 years for the crime, experts now believe the man was overwhelmingly innocent of the crime, and that the true Phantom Barber was never known. Big cats across the United Kingdom. Back in early 1995, the British government received more than 60 reported incidents taken from locals of Bodmin Moor, of which reported that the residents were encountering a large black panther-like creature with scraggly fur, a large powerful jaw, the muscled body of a big cat, and being more than 4 feet long. The locals said the black fur made it nearly impossible to see at night, until the creature was close enough to attack. This led to the government starting an official investigation into the area of Bodmin Moor, to try to better understand the existence of the creature and whether or not it posed a threat to the residents. Shortly after the investigation began, a boy found the skull of a leopard on the banks of a nearby river, and many began to speculate that perhaps there was a never-before-seen local species of large cats in the region. These creatures were then quickly given the name of the Beast of Bodmin Moor, which led many experts quickly trying to assess the situation and better understand how a leopard could have arrived in the region. Many theories and myths have started that a rich private collector could have been illegally importing the creatures, and shortly after having them then decided to set them free in the region. A theory that would explain quite reasonably how the beast came to be, and why it would be in the open areas of Bodmin Moor. Others believe the Beast of Bodmin Moor is a direct descendant of the native wildcat species that was believed to have gone completely extinct in Britain more than 100 years ago, but is now making a comeback. Outside of the 60 direct reports of the creature, there have been other reports of leopard calls, hissing, growling mutilations of livestock, and even missing pets that have been found half-eaten no more than a few days later. In recent years, reports of large black cats have begun to surface all across the United Kingdom. Some believe the cats are supernatural shadowy beasts that can appear and disappear in a moment's notice, whereas others believe they are an invasive species growing across the United Kingdom that the government is purposely trying to cover up. As the years go on, it might very well be that the discovery of a native large black cat across the United Kingdom will make headlines across the world. The Mermaid Inn. Found in the town of Rye located in East Sussex, there resides a haunted inn that's known as the Mermaid Inn, and it dates way back to the year of 1156. As one can imagine with a place of business that featured a number of gang activity dating back several centuries, the location is at the centre of some of the most credible hauntings ever recorded. Reports range from guests claiming that they have been awoken to the sight of a deformed ghostly woman who tries to climb up the bed, to strange apparitions suddenly walking in through walls and doorways as guests were merely going about their business. This would lead the Mermaid Inn being featured on its own episode on the British reality paranormal investigation show Most Haunted, of which described the Mermaid Inn as one of the most haunted locations they've been to. The Mirror at Myrtles Plantation. The location of a former plantation home found in Louisiana is often reported by the locals and paranormal researchers as one of the most haunted houses in the United States. Surrounding the land are numerous tales and local myths that report strange and violent histories that many people believe contributed to the property's terrible hauntings. One such myth is that of the cursed mirror at the Myrtles Plantation. According to the legend, many years ago when the home was still an operating plantation with a variety of slave families, there were many slaves of whom practiced black magic and voodoo spells. These were used to help them in their goals. One night as the owners of the plantation home were preparing for a meal, one of the workers had created a special concoction to poison the family, and slipped the poison into the owner's food during their meal. The entire family began complaining of terrible aches and pains, and all passed away shortly thereafter. This was not enough for the angered worker. It said they grabbed hold of one of the mirrors they used as vanity, and performed a special ritualistic ceremony to trap the souls of the family inside the large mirror. Oddly enough, one of the mirrors believed to have been used by the family many years ago and found in the home tucked away in the back room, is often reported at the centre of the hauntings for anyone of whom lives at the residency. Many people have reported seeing handprints against the mirror, as if someone had been resting their hand against it, only before shortly disappearing without any marks or fingerprints. Strange markings and symbols will often appear as well, with no explanation before shortly disappearing. One such owners have even gone as far as claiming that they've once seen figures dressed in old-fashioned clothes standing in the reflection, and screaming to be let out. the mirror still resides at the old Myrtles plantation to this day. But what do you think of these 5 different unexplained mysteries that are still waiting to be solved? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.